Hey Sarah,
Hey, Cassie.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for jumping in with me this morning to talk about your recent article, Relationship Roller Coaster, Attachment Styles, and What to Do.
Sure,
This was
absolutely.
it was fun for me. I was like, ooh, automatically the title, I'm like intrigued, right? This seems fun and interesting. And then also like precarious and stomach turning. So yeah, as you were describing these feelings of closeness, and then you know there's closeness and it's really sweet, and then all of a sudden there's this separation, there's anger, maybe there's
Yeah.
pulling back. And I was thinking about how that feels, and how stressful that can be. So I'm really
Yes.
looking forward to jumping in and talking about um, like getting some language, some framework for that, what might be going on, and then talking about what we potentially can do about it. So let's jump in.
Okay, sounds good.
So, to start with, what are attachment styles?
Sure. So, attachment styles are ways of relating to other people in your life, and you learn those through the responses you get from your caregivers early in your life. Or they can also be affected by other really important relationships later in life, like particularly romantic relationships.
That makes sense. Those romantic relationships tend to be pretty deep and pretty
Yes.
effective towards us. What are the main two attachment styles?
Yeah, so you can have a secure attachment style or an insecure attachment style. And a secure style develops when those caregivers are really reliable and consistent and caring in their responses, and you just have your needs met in a really reliable way. And the insecure style is more when you maybe you get that sometimes, and then sometimes you don't, or maybe you just don't get those needs met in the right way overall. Those responses don't have to be perfect to lead to a secure attachment style, but good enough, consistent enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, taking the pressure off the parents watching, right? Like,
Yes.
even if you do not show up perfectly every time, you can still be providing secure attachment for your children. And in this, you mentioned that even if you have some insecure attachment, like you can still know that your parents did the best they could. There's no, as an adult, as you're looking back and looking inside and thinking, I have some insecure attachment styles, but I shouldn't, because my parents worked really hard. There can be
Mhm.
some maybe guilt about
Yes.
that, but you just normalize that. You're like, hey, even if your parents worked really hard, even if they were great parents, it's still totally normal to have some insecure attachment things.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of us do. And almost all parents are trying their best and doing the best that they can. And sometimes they have their own experiences from growing up that they didn't get everything they needed. And we're all
Absolutely.
humans. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate for that potential guilt around that, around loving our parents and knowing they tried really hard, to stop us from digging in to doing our
Right.
own work to grow through that space. So I
Mhm.
appreciate the normalization of that. And then
Yeah.
talk to us about the two styles of insecure attachment.
Sure, yeah. So two main styles of insecure attachment. One is avoidant attachment, and that means you're more oriented toward relying on yourself or regulating your own emotions, especially if you're stressed or anything like that. Sometimes even closeness in the relationship can feel a little uncomfortable or maybe even unsafe. And so you just tend to lean toward more independence. And the other style is anxious, or sometimes called anxious ambivalent attachment. And with that style, you're more oriented toward closeness. Maybe if you are stressed, having a bad day, like you want to reach out to someone else, or especially your person, your attachment figure. Um, but then also you may have some anxiety that comes up sometimes, even when there's small things that make you wonder if something's off between the two of you. It's instead of the closeness feeling uncomfortable, like the avoidant attachment style, for the anxious style, the distance feels really uncomfortable or unsafe or dangerous. And so sometimes too, when that anxiety comes up, it can come out with a little bit of frustration or anger or things that you don't intend because you're trying to close that distance, but it can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It sounds like it can actually go both ways, maybe. Like maybe you can even swing
Mhm.
between
Yeah.
these two ditches, trying to
Mhm.
find middle
Yes.
ground, but
Yeah, for sure.
he's struggling. So give us an example of being on the roller coaster with these attachment styles, like what that might actually look like.
Yeah. So maybe a situation that might happen, maybe you have had a big project or meeting at work or something important going on with the kids, and you're excited, you're waiting for your spouse to come home from work, and when they come home, maybe they're quiet, and they don't ask about your big thing that you had happening. And so then maybe inside of you, as a more anxious, attached oriented person, you might start to feel some anxiety about that and start to wonder, why aren't they asking me? Why are they so quiet? Don't they know that, like, don't they remember that I had this important thing today? And so that tension and anxiety might be there for you. And what might
Yeah.
come out might be an accusation. Now, why aren't you asking me about my thing? While
Sarah,
you're
I don't know anything about what you're saying. Stop reading my mail.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. But on the other side, so the more avoidant attachment spouse, maybe they've had this stress for their day, and so they're dealing with it on their own, that more independent style. But now they hear stress from you, and they had stress from work, so they get even more quiet. So then the anxious oriented spouse gets like more, pursues that more, wants to talk more, and then they withdraw more, and then you're like,
Like I,
spinning and
I'm laughing because like this has been a thing that I've seen happen some
sure.
places before.
Somewhere.
But
Yeah.
like when you're in the midst of it, it's really not funny. It's super
Mm-mm.
stressful.
It's stressful and it hurts, and then both people end up on, opposite sides with this distance in the middle that really doesn't feel good to either one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they both really down deep want to connect and want to be seen and want to be
Yeah.
held together and to share the challenges. So how do they get from here? How do they prevent here? How do they get to here?
Sure. Yeah. Well, part of that work is, for each person to do on their own and to maybe recognize their own attachment styles and how they got there. What was there something in their past or some hurts or some wounds or some things that led them to develop that style, and can they do some work on healing that for themselves? And also then as a couple, then if I've got this style and you've got this style, then what are those patterns we create together, and how can we work on changing that, both of us together? Because you can develop secure attachment together as you learn to reassure one another and have understanding and compassion for each other's different styles and different responses and different needs. You can develop that security together so you don't end up in those cycles and roller coasters, and you know how to be there for each other.
So encouraging that we can
Yeah.
grow
Mhm.
together.
Yes.
Yeah. And that the work that we do individually benefits each other and the relationship that we're working hard to create.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Do you see a lot of this work do you see a lot of this come out in the marriage therapy that you're doing?
Definitely. I would say most everybody has some of this as part of their
Yeah.
work. Because we can always develop more of that security together.
Mm, that's fun. It's like something to look forward to and work hard
Yeah,
towards. That's a shared goal and something joyful.
absolutely.
I love that. You mentioned a few books in your articles. Would you just share those resources? You and I were chatting about how they look so cute because they're all color coordinated.
They do. I didn't notice that until just now. So one is Attached by Amir Levine.
Okay,
This is a really good one. Also Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. This one has more exercises and conversation points and things for couples
nice.
to do together. And then
Some
one that's not,
practical.
yes, it's very practical. And one that's not in the article that I've found since I wrote it and really like is called How We Love by Milan and Kay Yurkovich. And this one does have a workbook that goes with it too, if you know, wanted to get that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to be with you, Sarah, to talk through this. And yeah, like you said, I think every couple, and even in even in relationships that are not couples and friendships, and like
Yes,
this affects every aspect of our lives. And
absolutely.
so, just really good information. Thanks for taking the time to jump in and share with me.
You're so welcome.
All right, I'll see you in the next one.